Get it. Let's hop into it, bro. So this joint starts. We left off, with the introduction of, there was declared that we had the D people and the P people. You know what I'm saying? They was beefing. They about to declare a war. You know what I'm saying? And we've been told that this Gita, is pretty much an Indian Bible. You know what I'm saying? That tells a story about how to stay unified with God through this whole war battlefield stuff. So inside this little chapter, we're observing the armies on the battlefield of Kuruksetra. I don't know how to say it. I don't. These words, man. That word, right? How you say that? How you say that? How you supposed to say that? How you supposed to say that? I don't know how to say that. You know what I'm saying? So let me pull up my notes. So I did take notes on what I want to cover. You know what I'm saying? So of course it starts out by telling us, of course, that the Gita, read it as it is. Don't add extra stuff. They keep on reinforcing that. They tell you how this scripture contains everything from every other scripture on top of like some stuff that's only inside here. You know what I'm saying? Keep trying to say Indian Bible. And yeah, that's the first thing they talk about. Don't ask them till they get it. They keep on saying that. So from there, right, we learn that there's topics discussed by the ruler of the D people and some guy named Sanjaya. I'm gonna call him the S person. You know what I'm saying? And when these two people conversate, it pretty much makes the Mahabharata, which forms the basic principles of the Gita. Well, my bad. So it's a book about compiled scriptures. It's a This book was made with the intent to only have one scripture. So there was like a whole bunch of scriptures in India, right? But this one was made with the intent for there to only be one. So it's not compiled of scriptures. It's just that the scripture inside here has the lessons from every other scripture on top of some other stuff that they gotta add on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what the Gita is. It's still like a book per se that's like its own scriptures, but it just has all the lessons from the other ones also. So with that being said, yeah, we learned that when these two people are talking, right? I said it formed the Mahabharata. They're technically talking in the Mahabharata, and that starts to form the principles of the Gita. Bang. So with that being said, the first thing that the D person, because if you remember from the last story, or from the last video, right? You had the D people and the P people, right? The ruler of the D people pretty much was jealous of the P people and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And the ruler of the D people, his oldest son made a plan to deceive the P people, and the father was like, "Hey, go ahead and do it." And it pretty much it didn't really. It ended out pretty much, and now there's gonna be a war between the D people and the P people. Now D people, they're very like they're literally blind to show that one, they can't see in reality, and two, they have no spiritual sight. The P people are very spiritual, they're very pious and good and stuff like that. They have Krishna on their side, which is the literal embodiment of God. So this would be Jesus, if this was the Bible and stuff like that. They got Krishna, and the other person has the army of Krishna, which they don't. They think the army of Krishna is good to have, but the P people obviously know we have literally God, so it doesn't really matter. Hold on, I gotta do something real quick. I'm back. All right, bang. So with that being said, right? Hold up. Let me get some water. Do I have some? Yeah, I do have some water. I need to get some water, son. Bang. So yeah, there's a war about to start and stuff like that. And now the ruler of the D people is talking to this S person his name is Sanjaya, but I think that's how you say it, but I'm gonna call him the S person. So they're talking, right? And the D person, the ruler of them, he says, "Oh, S guy, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at the battlefield," which is the K word. I'm gonna just say the battlefield. "As he assembled in the place of pilgrimage at the battlefield, desiring to fight, what did they do?" What is that? What is that? What does he mean by that? So he's pretty much asking the S person, "Yo, there's about to be a war, bro. What did my sons just do?" Now, granted, he told them to do it. I mean, they came up with the plan, but he told them to do it. He said, "Do it." So now he's thinking back, like, dang, like, what did they just do, bro? Now it's about to be a war and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah. Now the thing is, right? The battle's happening on that K place. Now that place is actually a holy land. You know what I'm saying? That's very important because the D person knows this, and they're not holy people, and he knows that his sons are blind, which means they have no spiritual sight also. Yet the P people got literally God on their side. They have the embodiment of God, Jesus Christ. If it was the Bible, aka Krishna, you know what I'm saying? That's his name, Krishna, you know what I'm saying? They got Krishna, so they like, dang, like, they might smoke us, bro. We fighting on a religious place. This is a holy place. They got the holy person. Everybody on that team holy. We might be effed. So yeah, the D person, the ruler of them, is asking this S person like, yo, what did they do? Now the S person, he's a disciple of some guy named, I wrote it inside here. He's a student of Vyasa, and therefore by Vaisaya's mercy, he can envision the battlefield while being in the room with D. So pretty much the guy's able to like see what's going on, even though he's with the D person. They might. Yeah, nah, it's not a mic no more. They getting cut. Yeah, they is getting cut. It gets even stiff more to getting cut. It gets crazy. So yeah, they getting cut. Yeah. So with that being said, bang, right? The S person has spiritual sight that says that he can actually see what's going on at the battlefield, even though he's talking to the D person right now. So that's why the D person asking, yo, what did my sons do? Like, what's going on right now, right? So, bang. Pretty much the S person sees them and he's like, okay, bro. What's happening right now is that your son is talking to his teacher. And while talking to his teacher, right, he's kind of like, yo, Mr. Teacher Guy, I want you to know I seen the army of the P people, bro. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really scared, but they got a couple good people. He started naming people. He said they have, yeah, I can't pronounce these names, bro, but they got a lot of holy people. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, dang, you know what I'm saying? They got those people, so we got to be a little bit careful. But guess what, though? I'm not fully scared because I got some guy named, I could say this guy's name. Hold up. It's in my note. I could say this guy's name. They have a guy named, the D people have a guy named Bisma, who's the most experienced general there. You know what I'm saying? Now the other side has Bima. You know what I'm saying? Who's not as experienced. He's like a little guy compared to this Bisma guy. You know what I'm saying? So the D people like, yo, even though they got all these great people, we still got my guy Bisma, the great general, and we also have the teacher guy. You know what I'm saying? The guy he's talking to, he says we have you also, which I can't say his name either, but yeah. The reason why he's so confident in these two people is one, because Beastma, like I said, is like a well-renowned general. He's the GOAT of this. But two, because Beastma and the teacher he's talking to, right, who's also a general, right? When they in the last video, when the D people were going to strip somebody's wife naked, Bima and the D person's teacher, they didn't really do nothing. It was just like, you know what I'm saying? So D person knows that these people, Bima or Bisma, and his teacher have an affection for the P people, but because they ain't do nothing when one of the P people's wife was getting stripped, he's like, you know, I hope y'all toss that out the window and we gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? So that happens, right? Pretty much the S person is telling the D person what his son is doing, which is talking to his teacher slash general, saying, yo, the other side has proper people, but we also have these people too, so we can't be too scared, right? So after they pretty much establish who they have and stuff like that, make sure I'm not getting off topic. Yeah. So pretty much after they announce all the people they have and stuff like that, Bisma decides to sound his conch shell. You know what I'm saying? You never see a conch shell, they blow through that joint like woo, they makes a little sound, stuff like that. Bisma, the guy on the D people's side, blows the conch shell, which by the way, you know, it made the D person happy, but like the conch shell indirectly signifies that they're gonna lose. You know what I'm saying? Because he blew that conch shell, the conch shell is symbolic to how they're gonna lose. But you know, the general starts to do his job anyway, so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna just do it. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the D person's happy and stuff like that because he heard the freaking conch shell and he thinks, oh my god, we're gonna no. So with that being said, when they blow their conch shell, right, the other side, Krishna, Arjuna, they blow their conch shells, but their conch shell is called transcendental. You know what I'm saying? Now let me read this part. In contrast to the conch shell blown by Bhishma, the conch shell in the hands of Krishna and Arjuna is described as transcendental. The sounding of the transcendental conch shells indicated that there was no hope of victory for the other side because Krishna was on the side of the pea people. Then they give out this little Sanskrit saying, and it pretty much means victory is always with persons like the sons of the people because Lord Krishna is associated with them. And whenever and wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is also there because the goddess of fortune never lives alone without her husband being Krishna, God. Therefore, victory and fortune are awaiting Arjuna as indicated by the transcendental sound produced by the conch shell of Vishnu or Lord Krishna, same person. Besides that, the chariot of which both friends were seated on had been donated by Agni, which is a fire god. So Agni gave Arjuna this chariot, and the chariot indicated that it was capable of conquering all sides wherever it was drawn over the three worlds. So they got conch shells, they got chariots, they got all this stuff that pretty much says, yo, y'all gonna lose. It's over for you. Y'all done. You're done. You know what I'm saying? That's what that joint pretty much says, yo. So bang. We get to the next part. Yeah, after everybody blew their conch shells, bro, that S person who was like overseeing everything from a whole different side of the world and stuff like that to the D person's to the D people's ruler, to their father and stuff like that, he's telling the father, like, yo, I just seen all these conch shells get blown. Not gonna lie, bro. When you told your sons to screw over the P people, that was kind of stupid. And now they're gonna all die. It's inevitable. They're dead. After them conch shells, they're dead. Done. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, after that happens, right? After that happens, yeah, the D people also heard the shells get blown, and immediately they were disheartened. They were like, oh shit, like their hearts just shattered. They were like, oh, because like the other side, the people blew their conch shell with so much confidence that they were like, oh my god, you know what I'm saying? And they have this confidence because they have Krishna, aka God, and it's said inside the Gita that whenever you have, let me say this, don't directly. Let me say it directly what it exactly says. It says, wait, yeah, one who takes shelter one who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. So, yeah, they blew it with such confidence because they have God, and whoever has God, they have nothing to worry about. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what happened there. That's what happened there, and yeah, the D people are pretty shook at this point. Not gonna lie. So, with that being said, oh, and by the way, the P people didn't flinch at all. We heard when the P people heard the D people, they was like, we don't care. Like they didn't. They was not scared at all. D people was shook though. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, right, what happened next from here is that Arjuna, the guy who's a disciple of Krishna, they're inside this chariot, and he's like, "Yo, Krishna, bring this chariot over to bring this over to the middle of the two armies. I'm trying to see who I'm fighting and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying, bro? Now, when Krishna is given this order, right, he's actually happy about this because usually God orders everybody and everything, but God got ordered. He was happy to serve his like devotee. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to include that also. You know what I'm saying? And there's one part I want to talk about how Krishna gets referred to as a certain kind of name. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right here. Lord Krishna is referred to as Kuruksetra in this verse because he is the owner of all senses. The living entities are part and parcel of him, and therefore the senses of the living entities are also a part and parcel of his senses. The impersonalist cannot account for the senses of living entities, and therefore they are always anxious to describe all living entities as senseless or impersonal. The Lord, situated in all hearts of all living entities, directs their senses, but he directs in terms of the surrender of the living entity, and in the case of a pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. Here on the battlefield of K, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus his particular name of Hrisikesa, which means owner of all senses. My fault, my throat is getting dry, bro. The Lord has many different names according to his different activities. For example, his name is Madhasudana because he killed the, I don't know if I said that right, because he killed the demon of the name Madhu. His name is Govinda because he gives pleasure to the cows and to the senses. His name is, let's just go through, okay. I only want to point out the whole controller of senses part that pretty much shows that Krishna controls all of our senses and stuff like that, especially when we are surrendered, aka when we are surrendered to God, God fully flows through us. You know what I'm saying? I just want to include that part right there because also that controller of senses part comes up again, which is really important. So when Arjuna tells Krishna to bring the chariot to the two armies, right? The P army and the D army, to go in between them, right? He goes there and he sees, oh my God, the other side has friends, family, like it has freaking sons, grandsons, grandfathers, it has teachers, it has like many people that Arjuna was cool with. Because keep in mind, Arjuna is part of the P people, but the P people and the D people are cousins. You know what I'm saying? Well, really brothers, I'm pretty sure. Actually, yeah, they're brothers. Pretty sure they're brothers. They're related somehow. I think they're brothers though. I might be wrong, but yeah, he's seeing all kinds of grandfathers, uncles, grandsons. He's seeing all this type of stuff, and like it makes him like really like ugh. Cause he don't want to kill. He don't want to kill his friends and family and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So at this point of the Gita, it gets very like it gets very the guy gets very scared pretty much. So let me tell you everything he says. Bang. Yep. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up." Now they explain how any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord, you know what I'm saying, has all the good qualities that's found inside godly persons and inside demigods. So when he sees his friends and family, it really will dishearten him because he has a. It's not. So at one point they call him weak-minded, but his softness is not because he cares about his family stuff like that. Doesn't really make him soft. It just shows that he has the qualities of a person who's devoted to God. Yet at points he does get referred to as somewhat weak-minded because he cannot do this. So he starts saying, "My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My bow, Gandhi, his bow has a certain name. His bow is slipping. My bow is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning." Now it says there's two kinds of trembling of the body, the two kinds of standings on the hair on end. Such phenomena occur in either great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjuna's symptoms is Arjuna's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. Namely loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms also. He became so impatient that his famous bow was slipping from his hands, and because his heart was burning with him, he was feeling a burning sensation. He was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All of these are due to a material conception of life. From here, Arjuna says, "I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kasi demon." So with that being said, right, Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of the weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. And then it gives this little Indian quote, right? And it means such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium takes place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. So it's saying that even though Arjuna has a good heart and he's a serious devotee of God who can obviously see that, dang, killing my friends and family feels bad, they're calling him a bit weak minded because he's too affected by material conditions. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by getting victory over the foe. The words blah 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 blah, I can't say them, are significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectations, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested inside the Supreme Self. Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self interest by Krishna's will. One's real self interest lies in Vishnu or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this, therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought that his victory in this battle would only be a cause of damnation for him. So what it's saying right here is pretty much that, like I said, Arjuna, serious devotee, has a good heart, does not want to kill his friends and family, right? However, they're saying that he's being caught up in his own self-interest. He, being attached to the material, does not want to kill his friends and family. However, if Krishna or God order him to do so, he needs to serve God or Krishna, the person who ordered him to do so. So his own interest should be inside God. You know what I'm saying? And God is saying you might have to go to war. You know what I'm saying? However, he's worried about his own self-interest, that being him being a person who's attached to material life, who is attached to material and physical life. Therefore, when he sees someone dying, it just makes him go like, oh, like that's so bad. But really, he's just attached to the material and not to the motivations and desires of God. You know what I'm saying? So bang. It also he goes to say this. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Now it says, without knowing that one's self-interest is inside Vishnu or Krishna, they're the same person, conditioned souls are attracted to bodily relationships, hoping to be happy in such situations. In such a blind conception of life, they even forget the cause of material happiness. Arjuna appears to have even forgotten the moral codes for a Kshatriya, which is what he is. It is said that there are two kinds of men, namely the Kshatriya who dies on the battlefield and the person in the renounced order of life who is absolutely devoted to spiritual culture. And both people are, my bad, those stuff and how I'm reading certain Indian words. Both people, the person who fights and the person who's devoted to spiritual shit, they're both gonna go to heaven pretty much. That's what it's saying. You know what I'm saying? Now Arjuna is supposed to be the Kshatriya, which they die on the battlefield. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be one of those. Now with that being said, after he sees all these like all his family and friends and stuff like that, being a Kshatriya, he's supposed to fight, but instead he's like, yo, I'm about to mother freaking go and hide inside the woods in the forest. So he literally tries to go to a forest and hide away. You know what I'm saying? Then he says, my man says to me. Then he says, "Oh Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom?" My bad. "Oh Govinda, of what avail us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield?" He's saying, why do we need a kingdom? He says, why do we need this kingdom? And how will we be happy and live life, you know what I'm saying, in this high manner if the people we're doing it for are actually just dead? It doesn't make any sense to him. You know what I'm saying? Then he says, "Oh Mudahasana," or Madhus, I can't say that. When teachers fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might kill me otherwise? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them even for the sake of the three worlds, let alone for this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of the dead people? Now, the reason why Arjuna uses the word Govinda to call Krishna Govinda, he calls Krishna Govinda because Govinda means the one that pleases the cows and the senses, right? So by calling him the Govinda, he's saying like, yo, Krishna, you should know what pleases me. Why are you making me do this? And you start to learn that, well, actually, to please yourself, you need to actually please God, not please your own senses. Your senses will be pleased by God if you actually decide to please God. And it's said that Krishna already killed the people. And as that H word, the controller of all senses that I said earlier, he's just ordering Arjuna to do what he's already done. I'm going to say that one more time. Krishna already killed everybody. Everybody's already dead. Arjuna just has to carry it out now. That's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said before, Krishna, God's the controller of all senses. And he's controlling all of us. So when he sees them as all being dead, he needs to control actual people to have the people be dead in physical life. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense? I hope it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So even though Mr. Arjuna is calling Krishna Govinda to say, yo, you should know what pleases me, it's actually kind of backwards because what would actually please Arjuna would be if he served Krishna, and by serving Krishna, he would have to kill other people. You know what I'm saying? Now from there, right, my guy says, sin will overcome us if we lay such sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of the dead people and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? Now, there are 6 kinds of, according to the Vedic scriptures, there are 6 kinds of aggressors. A poison giver, one who sets fire to the house, one who attacks with deadly weapons, one who plunders riches, one who occupies another's land, and one who kidnaps a wife. Such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. So, he said that because Arjuna is saying if we slay these people, we're going to have sin fall upon us. Yet, these aggressors are actually in the wrong. If you kill these kind of aggressors, no sin falls upon you. So he's actually in error when he says this. He goes on to say, "Oh, I can't pronounce that. Although these men, with their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin?" Now, as a caste Kshatriya, he's not supposed to refuse a battle when he's invited to one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but you know, he doesn't care. He just decides not to fight. He says with the he chooses not to fight at this point of the story, at least. Because we find I didn't read the whole entire Gita, but they told us in the beginning that he's gonna end up fighting anyway. You know what I'm saying? So he's just I'm not saying he's being a bitch right now. Because he's not being a bitch. He's just slightly misunderstood. He's acting in a deluded manner because he doesn't understand that killing the people is not actually as bad as he thinks it is. But he's attached to material life and sees death as such a bad thing and all that other stuff. So he doesn't really have clear sight right now. You know what I'm saying? Then he says, with the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in ill religion. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Krishna, comes unwanted progeny. I said that because I paused because it says like I'm pretty sure this supposed to be Vishnu. They spelled it differently, and Vishnu and Krishna are the same, so I want to make that make sense to y'all. He pretty much says, yo, he says that if we do this, pretty much, religion is gonna go to Ish, the women gonna go to Ish, everything is going to Ish, and unwanted progeny is pretty much when because you have if the women go to Ish, right, they're gonna be sleeping with men they shouldn't be sleeping with, therefore gonna have unwanted kids and unwanted progeny. Inside here, they kind of describe now when I this is not my personal opinion, but they describe women as being unintelligent. Therefore, they kind of need to be like guided by rules and like by elders and by religion. Which I get why they said that. Men are more intellectual, women are more emotional. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's why they added that part. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, bang. It says an increase of unwanted population certainly causes a hellish life for both the family and those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such destroyed families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water altogether have stopped. So what this means is the fact that you find out that if you worship God and give offerings to God, all of your ancestors and forefathers, all their like sins get paid for and stuff like that, and they could be released from their ghostly condition. Because you find out that when these people die, they can't always come back and have a physical body, and they get stuck as ghosts. And you could either offer things to them directly, which would help that person, or if you do offerings to God, it helps like everybody. You know what I'm saying? But if the religion falls and there's no more of that worshiping, all the forefathers and ancestors they're gonna be floating and stuff like that. And then it's and pretty much that's why it says the ancestors of such destroyed families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water have altogether stopped. Because we're no longer worshiping God, all the offerings kind of stop too. And then it's like, yeah, everything just falls from there. Then it says, by the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplinic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Now, hold up. Yeah. So he's pretty much reciting he's pretty much reciting things that he's heard before, which is actually not a bad thing because it's good to take advice from your predecessors and stuff like that. But as we find out, of course, he's not going to dwell inside of hell if killing the family, the D people, ruins the religion because he's being ordered to do this by literally God. Now he says, alas, how strange is it that we are prepared to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Now, this part is actually kind of accurate because some people may only be killing out of desire for the royal happiness. That is true, and that would be wrong. If you're only killing them because you're desiring the riches and the royal happiness, that's wrong. You know what I'm saying? So because of that, he starts saying, better for me if the sons of the deep people have weapons in their hand and they kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. So he says like, yo, because when you're unarmed and resting on the battlefield, you're not supposed to be attacked, and it's wrong to be attacked. But he says, yo, it's better to go out like that opposed to having to kill my own friends and family. You know what I'm saying? And he knows for a fact that they're gonna win. He knows after that whole con shell Christian stuff that they're gonna freaking win. So he knows that his family's gonna that the D people going. He knows that the D people are gonna die, which includes some of his friends and family. And it's like, yeah, you know, he's not messing with that. And it pretty much ends after remember how the S person was seeing all this happen and was telling it was telling the D people's like father, the ruler, and stuff like that. He says the S person says Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bows and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So the S person is telling the ruler of the D people the fact that Arjuna has sat down and his mind is filled with grief and stuff like that. And it ends on that note. The next chapter, starts with Krishna talking to Arjuna. And we're going to cover that in the next episode of covering the Gita. So in this one, you pretty much just learn the fact that you learn that the deep people are gonna lose, and that Arjuna feels a way about this because he's so devoted to God and he just doesn't see killing as being the right thing. However, that's only because he's attached to material conditions and all that type of stuff. And inside the next chapter, I'm assuming that Krishna's gonna tell him to fight, and we're gonna see a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's like, yeah, can't wait for it. That's been the Gita. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace. Oh yeah. Also, I was thinking about having an after party where we like roll up and stuff like that. Probably not today, but at one point I'll have a little after party, and it's gonna get lit.